Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I think we are all from different parts of South Africa, so I could say good morning, South Africa.
Morning, morning.
Morning. My name is Malusi Mazibugo. Thank you, Kim, for inviting me to be part of this conversation. I will just give everybody a chance to introduce themselves, but just a little bit about myself. I work for Activate as the network support portfolio manager. Previously, before I came into this role, I've been a trainer since Activate started in 2011, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 2011. So the first training took off in 2012. That's the first cohort we've had. So I've been a trainer since 2012 up until 2016. I've had a lot of young people coming through the program in the different years. So I think I'm excited to be engaging with you guys here at the cohort of 2020. You guys are a special bunch. I mean, you're all locked up in while we having training. So yeah, I mean that's exciting. But yeah, I mean maybe let me just hand over to everybody, just introduce themselves, where you're from, and what are you currently doing? Just briefly.
Cool. Should I go next? Okay.
Yeah.
My name is Kim. You all know me. I'm the communications manager at Activate. I've been at Activate for about 4 years now. Yeah, you guys are a special bunch because you are the lockdown crew. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the year unfolds, how you find the program. I think we're going to be working a lot more together. Well, I hope so. Us as a little group. Yeah, exciting stuff.
Cool. Thank you, Kim. Next person.
Who's next?
Maluk, if you nominate people, it just makes it easier. But I'll tell you what, I'll just go next quickly because I'm talking already. I'm Sue Parker. I have a communications and PR agency called Catalyst, and I work with Activate to help tell your stories.
Thank you, Sue. Anybody can go. Clayton?
All right. Hi. It's a great honor to be here today. Thank you very much.
Right.
I did tell you she should.
Yeah, go ahead, Clinton.
All right. Like I was saying, it's a great honor to be here with you guys today. Thank you very much for the meeting. Right, my name is Clinton Mupapi. I'm currently sojourning Johannesburg to academics, but I'm from Rustenburg. I'm co-founded first Uni Mentors, which was a mentorship program, but I had to leave due to some circumstances. But now I've founded African Intellect, and we are currently trying to be the bridge between higher institutions of learning and people from rural areas. So currently, we have thus far brought 67 students to school.
Awesome. Great stuff, man. Thank you. Peterson, can you go next?
All right. Hi there, all. Thank you very much. You guys could just call me JD. My full name has always been a mouthful. I'm all the way from the Free State, Bloemfontein. I believe I fall now in the inland or the KZN cohort. I'm a final year quantity surveying student. I'm working part-time and I'm actively involved in all different kinds of voluntary NGOs. I firmly believe there's more than enough positive energy out there in the world. And I think if we just lend a hand to one another, and that's why I think I found myself here with the Activate program. And I look forward to reaping the benefits from the network that we will be establishing, or that has been established over the past few days. And and again, I look forward to the conversation we're about to have. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Elisedi?
Thank you very much, Melusi. I have to make myself relevant with my background so that it becomes red to represent Activators, Drivers for Change. I know their brand is it is some reddish. So without wasting time. My name is Lisedi Matala. Yeah, I've been trying to get from Activate since 2015 while I was doing my final year at University of Johannesburg, studying political science. And I was a tutor at the same time. I've been trying to get into the program, and I don't know, keep postponing until now. And when I joined, COVID-19 also joined me. So, but I'm glad to be part of this program. I've been always to become, I've been only, it was my dream to become. I've joined a lot of programs, but I was like, I'm not going to rest until I join Activate Drivers for Change. And finally, I'm here. So I also have an NGO called CEA, Career Education Avenue, and it's operating in Limpopo, especially those rural areas there. We give motivational talks. We also give career guidance based on research. And currently, I'm working at Church Education Service. Church Education Service, I don't know, maybe anyone know Church Education Service, but it's an NGO which was founded during 1994 by Mandela and other political leaders. And I'm working as a researcher there. Yeah, we're doing a lot of good work in the education service.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Tatiana? Yeah, go for it. Yeah, anyone can go. Tatiana, are you there? Okay. Yes.
Can everyone hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. My name is Tatiana Suposihlelo Daga. I'm from the Eastern Cape. A friend of mine actually to join Activate because he couldn't. He was much older, so he couldn't. So it's been a great movement, I can't lie. I'm a radio presenter, a poet. I am the face of Royal Boutique. It's an NPO that is running currently in the Eastern Cape. Yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
All right, Nsiki?
Hi everyone, my name is Nzika with an A, not an I. With an A. I'm doing my final year in politics and African languages, switched up towards the end of my degree. I'm also the co-founder of a society called Enable, which is an organization that works together with the Division of Student Affairs at Rhodes University. So we're looking at actually including persons living with visible and invisible disabilities at Rhodes, since I'm also a student there. And then, yeah, something about me, I'm the Nzika of all trades, master of all, I guess.
Thank you so much, Nzika.
So is it only me who didn't introduce his educational background? Wow.
It doesn't matter. I mean, it doesn't matter. You're here. That's what we're really interested in is you. Louis, can we get your introduction? Louis is not there.
Louise, your mic's muted.
I'm so sorry that my mic was muted. I work with Sue on Activate's content and media strategy. So we publicize all the amazing work that you guys do with Activate and what Activate does in the media. I've been a journalist for over 30 years. I started my career under apartheid, under the first and second state of emergencies when I was on daily newspapers. It was very interesting times then, and now we are here under a state of disaster because of an enemy we can't see. So it's very interesting times. So as a journalist, as an editor, I love telling your stories, and it's such an amazing organization to work for because you have such engaged youth who are making a real difference. And so thank you from me for the amazing stories you give us to write and publish. That's why we're here, is to listen to what you have to say and craft a story from that so we can get your message out and amplify the message of the youth out there.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Louis. I mean, very interesting journey you've been through the different stages of South Africa.
I'm still learning, and I'm learning from you guys. which is amazing. Thank you.
Awesome. Colleagues, thank you so much. I think we've got a very rich, group of participants this morning, and I think I'm definitely sure we'll have an exciting conversation, given the background of various people in this particular group. I guess we are all in a situation which we have never been before as a country. I think one of the key things that basically brings us together, as Louise has mentioned, that we've got an enemy, a common enemy, which we cannot see. I think this is the first time in history of South Africa where we are standing beside one another, black, white, red, green, yellow, blue, regardless of race, color, skin, but we are standing together in solidarity, standing together in wanting to triumph over something that we don't know or understand. So I think it's one of those monumental, journeys in the country or in the history of South Africa that's, we are making sense of it as we move along as a country. And I think it's exciting times, especially being Youth Month, being an iconic month in South Africa. We know so many things took place in South Africa, how youth have shaped how we have South Africa today. And I think it's very exciting, to be, talking about this particular topic. Just to kick off this conversation, my first, question, I'll be just throwing a series of questions to anybody, and I don't have a system how you will answer in terms of you can raise your hand or something, or just I don't know, but you can suggest how you basically want to make your contribution. But I just want to basically throw the first question to all of us. I mean, given the current situation that we are having, where do you think are the voices sitting right now? I mean, we've been in lockdown since March. Everybody is behind door. People are coming out in bits and pieces. So, but there's a voice of young people which is very hard to harness, very hard to contain. Maybe to everybody in the group, where do you think are the youth voices right now in this particular space and time, given the COVID-19 situation? Where do you think we are sitting as young people? Are we seen anywhere in the spaces? Where's our headspace? Where's our minds at? Where are our thoughts focusing on in this particular time? Maybe that would be the first step this morning.
Thank you so much for throwing that question, Malusi. So for me, I think that the voice, or rather the voice of the youth, is clearly audible on social media. Because we're under lockdown, right, and we're all behind closed doors, the only way we are able to communicate with one another is through social media, whether it is through like a hashtag on Twitter, or whether we're having our various discussions on our different WhatsApp groups. So I think the voice of the media is very dominant on social media as it stands.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd definitely like to agree with Ntika that if you are anywhere close to anything close to WhatsApp and Twitter, you would know that the youth is very active in sharing their views and opinions and the lived experiences of being alive throughout this pandemic. So definitely concur.
Awesome, thank you so much. And anyone else, where do you think we are at as young people?
For me, I think that as young people, as much as we are locked up, but we are not really locked up when it comes to our thoughts and what we want to express. Like Ntika said, we have social media, we have radios, we have televisions, we have all those kind of platforms that we could use to really voice out how we feel about this pandemic. What's nice is we know that this is a phase that we are going through in the country as young people. It's not something that is permanent. So it's something that will pass slowly. So young people are really using this time to actually focus and knowing that life is really short and precious. So I think young people are using that time to revamp also themselves. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jan.
Can I add?
Yes.
To add on the social media platform thing, is that I've noticed that youth is reaching common ground, something that we didn't know we have in common. So hence our voices is being heard by like leaders. You understand? So they attend to our matters. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, can I add to Mr. Mazibuko? So with me, I beg to differ with everyone. To say our voice is on social media. Is it maybe the question is what voice? Are we talking about voice of power, voice of influence, or voice that raise important things on social media? I don't see that on social media. I see people. I'm on social media myself, and in all platforms. What uh, I see voices that don't influence anything. I see voices that just that are locked. That are lost. I see minds that are locked. Social media is not a platform which youth unlock the ideas. I don't see that at the moment. So yeah, I beg to differ with it.
Okay. There's a different
next?
I would like to make a practical example, right? In Tanzania, there was a certain situation of a lady who went to the clinic and was not attended to. So what she did, she went on Facebook and she inboxed the current Minister of Health. And the following day, she was there to address the issue in person and to make sure whatever that was not done accordingly was done. So this is why I say that young people are actually using those platforms like Facebook to address what is currently happening in our country.
Okay, cool. So thank you for the example. Clayton, you wanted to make a point regarding this question?
Yes, I have to agree with the political science giant there. And then what they are saying here too. Because if you can look at the example that she just gave, these matters are only attended to when there's a situation at hand. I remember what happened in last year at Liberty Insurance Company. There was a wife who lost their husband, and then the Liberty people said that the husband had a disease that they didn't know, and then the wife went to Twitter, and then that was only Twitter went straight into the Liberty, and then that's only when the issues were addressed. But if you can look at it, we say our voices are on social media, but now the social media has moved internally from consciousness to perception. That's my view.
Sure. Okay, cool. Thank you so much, colleagues, for the points. You guys have basically, as we're just laying the foundation for this conversation, fighting out where are young people in this particular space in time. So I mean, maybe if one thing apart in any continent, if there's one thing that sets young people apart is the power that they have. And maybe the question that I would like to pose to everybody is that do young people in South Africa have the power to change things? And right now we have social media because we're all locked down. That's the only tool we have. Do young people have power? And if so, what kind of power do they have and how are they using that power? Because remember, in 1976, young people of 1976 had power to change the entire system, which worked for us because today we have freedom. But today, people have power, and if they do, what kind of power do they have, and how can they use that power if they have any power?
Can I just jump in if no one is speaking? All right. Firstly, I'm going to acknowledge that, and I think my argument was also going to focus on the importance of social media, especially in a time like this. I think where the physical meeting of people to express people's concerns, especially about what is going on, is not possible. It's only now where social media can be used to the advantage of people, you know? And I'm saying this because the youth of the 1970s would normally gather and in those large numbers go to whatever building that they can go to. But we're in the middle of a pandemic now, and we cannot necessarily express the power that we have. And I'm acknowledging both arguments that social media can be used to advance those interests.
but I'm also acknowledging that it isn't. You go to Facebook, you go to Instagram, you go to Twitter. What is happening there? There are people shaming each other. There are insults being thrown around and everything of that sort. So I'm not disputing the fact that there is so much potential for the platforms to be used for the greater good, but the reality is that they are not being used for that. But it does not mean that young people do not have power. Young people definitely have power, and I think in the video that I have shared with Kim, I expressed that I think the June 16 of 2020 should be a platform that allows the starting of a culture where young people are not only people who give opinions and decisions, but they are the crucial and the center of decisions that are going to be made, especially in a time like this. So that is the argument that I have, that young people have power. They definitely have power. But because of how we have failed to use it to the best of our abilities, you find that when we enter certain spaces, our power is either limited or it's coincidental. We are recognized as voices that are going to be heard, but out of what we say, not much is done.
Thank you so much. I would get your name, sorry, because we did introduction.
Sorry, my name is Lesotho Scott.
Okay, thank you so much. Welcome to the conversation. All right, can I get another person inputs? And if any?
Can I just ask a question?
Yes.
Thinking about young people needing to have the power or having the power to change things, my question to you is, if you feel you have this power, what specifically do you most want to change?
What specifically?
What would you lobby about the most? What are the issues that are burning at the moment in your mind that you would like to change?
Well, it's a question for area for us all, or specific? Okay, cool. I mean, can I request that Sue, we park it just for a second? And just flash this one, and then we get back to your question quickly. All right.
Sure.
Cool. All right. Cool. Colleagues, let's move on with the first question that I posed about the issue of power. Young people having power. If so, how are we basically using that particular power? If only. And I think the last speaker mentioned key points that the fact that because we are on lockdown, there's little that we can do in terms of input. But I think just to throw a spanner in the works, there is a couple of policies that are in the framework, right? In current framework, right now. I think there's over 5 of the victim, and the process is that inputs are normally asked from people all over the young people's country, and we all know that policy. One of the key things influence the way things are done. If I'm not contributing to a particular policy that is going to change things,
understand how to change things. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Lizzie. Thank you so much, Lizzie. Can I take 2 more people, then I move on to the next point?
Okay. First, we do have power. When I speak of power, I speak of power to cause change. Either be political, either be educational, either be in our communities, either in any kind of violence that we are currently facing in South Africa. The young people have power to change this current situation that we are facing. I'll speak first political. If we want to change political, it's our choice to vote for what we want. We have that power, right? When it comes to educational, we go to school so we can come back and further the education of our communities. Badly, organization is currently not functional because of the pandemic. But what we would do would go to certain schools to empower young ladies to become better people tomorrow. Because you would find out that ladies suffer a lot when it comes to gender-based violence, when it comes to rape, when it comes to all of these things. So we would go to give back to them, to empower them, so that we build better female leaders for tomorrow. We have that power. We have the power to cause change in our communities as young people currently, because you find that older people don't really know what's happening when it comes to the pandemic itself. So it is up to us as young people to actually empower those people. There was a young lady in Port Elizabeth who was actually going around taking young people in her community, in fact, children in her community that were playing around and that could have infected each other, and teaching them things in small groups so that they don't forget what they've learned at school, and also that they stay away and don't infect each other. She made sure that they sanitize, she made sure that they had masks. This is the kind of power that we still have as young people.
All right. Thank you so much, Diana, for your question. Can I take the last person? Then we move on.
Can I go next?
Okay, can I please go next? All right, I want to respond to what Lucy and Peterson said. I think what kind of compromises our power as young people is the fact that we are a generation of reactionary people. You know, when there is no situation to address, we do not have the sense of urgency to initiate pursuing change when it comes to a particular thing. So I think that in the event where a government with a political landscape that is led by old people initiates or starts a conversation in a particular thing, it could be racism, it could be quality of education, it could be gender imbalances. It is hard for young people to jump in and control the narrative. You know, so I think that we do not have power simply because we never have the sense of urgency to initiate anything that starts change, even without a situation or a pressing trend in media that requires us to do that. So I think the challenge that also compromises our power is the fact that for as long as there is nothing that is pressing, a practical example would be last year in September, when we had the situation of gender-based violence. It's something that we know is the reality of South Africa. You know, it is not something that only happened in that month, but as young people, only when it became so so visible on social media, then we wanted to jump in and fight it. And guess what happened? Not even 2 weeks later, social media was silent on the issue of that, because as young people, we do not have I think we are reactionary men. We are mostly emotional than we are rational people. And it's because in the moment when those things are happening, we do not sit down and plan for what's going to happen a year or two later when the momentum is done. But we know that there are still people that are being beaten in their families. We know that there are still those situations. A practical example now, we are currently dealing with the issue of racial medicine and everything of that sort. And I'm telling you now, the plight is not as high and the engagements are not as high as they were last week. It's because we have gotten into a trend of we become very emotional and very engaging and involved when something is the topic of the day. But we do not really just sit down and observe something and then actively pursue the change of that thing. So when we do not start a conversation around change ourselves, we cannot control the narrative.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you so much. I'm gonna have to move on to the next question, colleagues, because I'm also trying to be wary of time here. And I just before I move on, I just want to throw a few numbers to you guys. In Africa, we've got over 800 million young people. In South Africa, we've got close to 18 million young people who are living in the country, making us probably the highest population in the country and in the continent. Those numbers combined have some sense of power. What I'm trying to say here is that we have the numbers as young people, right? If only a few young people in Soweto, not even more than 50, were able to create so much shock across the country, how much more do we have today when we are 17 million young people strong. The list goes on and on. But my next question is, perhaps we are moving to a direction of where we are saying, and I like the points you mentioned, the last speaker was saying that we are very reactionary. And we could attribute some of these things based on media. Media has a lot of power in controlling how we do things, how we think, what is current and what is not current, what is supposed to be spoken about, what is not supposed to be spoken about. So, another person might blame the current situation we're in, which is COVID-19. Do you guys think that COVID-19, in a way, has kind of like distorted the power of young people or young people's ability to be active beings? Do you think the situation of COVID-19 has kind of like changed the way we see things as young people?
Yes, I believe it did change, in the sense that ever since this pandemic, this corona thing has started, young people became creative. Some lost their jobs, but they didn't take that as a downfall. They started their own things like making food, selling food, like even employing other unemployed youth. You understand? So I think it changed their way of thinking. Instead of being boxed in a way that at 8 a.m. I must go report in the office and all, you understand? But they became their own bosses and started employing other people. I think that is how it changed the way young people think.
Awesome. I would love to hear voices as well from people who haven't spoken as yet. Tika, Alfred, you guys, we would love to hear your voices as well. Don't be shy. This is a platform for you. Just picture as if you're in a training space and let's engage. Every point is valuable. Awesome. Yanela?
Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
As I was saying that the only thing I've noticed that this pandemic we're facing, that it did change young people. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, but there's some interference in the background.
Okay, then we give it a quick fix.
Clayton, can you mute your mic while she's speaking? Thank you. Go ahead, Yanela. Okay, Clayton, go ahead. Your mic is muted, Clayton.
Should I go on?
Yeah, go on.
All right. Okay, I don't think the COVID-19 hasn't given us a youth a chance, because what I wanted to say post the previous question is, I think the only time our voices are heard as youth is when we come together as one in a certain place. Because remember what you say, that a few people in Soweto were able to make their voices be heard. Remember, they came in together. There were no social media and all those things. So if you can look past to what happened through education as well, free education. We were preaching the free education from 2014, I think. But the only time the government were able to stand and have an agreement with us is after we have banned Braamfontein down, almost the whole of Braamfontein and SABC, so as other buses there. So the only way that the government can hear our voices is when we do something offensive towards them. So right now in social spaces, I don't think we have power.
Okay. Any other viewpoints as well? Has COVID-19 distorted young people's agenda in a way?
Yeah, I think maybe.
Sorry.
Sorry. So can I go first, lady? Thank you. Sorry. I think I'm going back to the point of saying there's a difference between having power and having potential. I like to agree with Benson in this case. We don't have power because power is something that we exercise and it has influence, either on a multi-shoot level or intimidate level or lower level. we just have potential. You see, those cases that have been pointing out, those are potentials of what we can do. Youth, not really power, because we don't influence things. The only way we influence things, as Clinton said, is when we started to become violent. That's how now our power started to be heard. That's like 1970, 1976. For them to be heard, they had to be violent. So is this time now are we talking about? Okay, let me come to the point of COVID-19. Again, we don't have a voice there because in Parliament, the decision makers, the policy makers who are making decisions for us are old people, are not youth. They're telling us what to do. I'm still going back to that point. They're telling us to do this is what is good for youth, and this what they don't consult us. They don't want to hear our voice. Like they have to think for us. Yeah, they only use us for their benefits. That's where we come in. And then when they come in, they say you have power. But what power? Or what power, really? Okay,
Yeah.
I'll just end it.
Cool. Thank you so much. I like the relationship between Lesedi and Clinton. When Lesedi speaks, he quotes Clinton. When Clinton speaks, he quotes Lesedi. So I don't know what's going on there. Can I hear any other viewpoints as well?
I'm gonna jump in with an unpopular view, and my
Yes.
view is, I think young people have power. You know, I do not think we are silenced, and I'm saying this because we have a greater advantage than the youth of 1976. All they had was physical contact. And that would have meant that only people who are physically present in a particular geographical area at that time could engage in what they were fighting for. You know, we have something much wider than that, which is social media. And though we are not using it, but it has the power to mobilize far much greater numbers than what was mobilized back in the day. So I really think that, I don't know, I think our problem is that we are entitled, you know, as young people. I think we think that someone must come and fetch us from our rooms and put us in parliament and then ask us what to do. You know, we do not acknowledge from where we are sitting that we can start a conversation, engage ministers. I liked an example that someone mentioned just when I jumped in, that when someone took a step to engage the Minister of Health, the minister came, you know. So unless we can confidently say that the government has taken a concerted effort and position to ignore young people when they speak and when they were approached to partner with them in changing the realities of the country, then we cannot say we are silenced. You know, we are just not taking the necessary measures to approach and to start the narrative and to make sure that we change the realities of the country. But we definitely have an advantage greater than what they had back in the day. And if we acknowledge that, then we'll be able to change a lot more than they did.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm still here. Alfred, are you with us, Alfred? Is Alfred here? Ntika, are you there as well?
Can I talk?
Yes. We'd love to hear your view as well. I mean, this is not a...
Okay. You something that has COVID-19 actually changed the youth of how they view things and in anything. Well, I think for one, the youth is more awakened right now because we know that we don't have all the time in the world that we thought we did, right? With COVID-19, we've noticed that life is actually too short for us to be playing around. So young people, it might seem like they're quiet, but they're actually revamping. They're actually doing something. They're actually planning. They actually have a plan in motion that says, you know what, as soon as this is over, this is what I'll be doing. I'm going back to school. As soon as this is over, this is what I'm doing. I'm starting a new business. You know what? Because now people have noticed, young people have noticed that as much as we are young, but we don't have all the time in the world that we thought we did. So with COVID-19, we've noticed that life is too short to just be planned. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. Anyone else before I move on to my next question? Yes, again, before we move on, I think there's a lot of points, valuable points that were mentioned by everybody in this particular point, and I'm remembering 2011, the Arab Spring. I'm sure you guys heard about the Arab Spring that took place in Egypt in 2011 in spring, where young people started the conversation on social media. Eventually, an entire government was toppled over by just simply, yes, of course, they had to come to a point where they had to meet physically, but it showed how much potential was turned into actual power being realized. I mean, the potential of social media was just a medium, and eventually, those young people toppled the entire government system. And I'm not saying that, it can only be done by social media only. We do need other aspects of physically meeting and the likes. So my other question that I'd like to ask us, I mean, in this group as a collective, is that, young people, what keeps a young person alive is the hope of a better future, right? So if I believe that I have a bright future, I start changing my actions on a daily basis. If I believe that I have a bright future, I change the little things that I do on a daily basis. Just give you an example of myself. One day I'd love to be an organ donor. I'd love to donate my heart one day, part of my lung, and so forth and so on. So in me wanting to do that, it's one of my goals in life, one of my dreams is to do that. Now, I need to change my lifestyle on a daily basis. I quit smoking, drinking. There are things which I do not do anymore in order for me to one day give a person a healthy lung, to give a person a healthy liver, a healthy heart, because I can't be drinking and smoking and then be like, okay, cool, I'm at 50 now and I donate my part. I'm giving somebody the residues of damaged goods. So if young people see themselves having a bright future and having dreams, maybe what are those dreams that young people have in this particular space in time, given the current situation of COVID-19? I mean, are we dreaming? Have we stopped dreaming as young people, or have we stopped aspiring for something greater? Because we don't know what the future is like. Somebody said life is too short. Who knows? We might be on lockdown forever. Will that affect your dreams? Will that affect your aspirations of the future? Yeah, I mean, how are your dreams affected in this particular space in time? Your aspirations, your desires, your goals. We are studying online. We're doing so many things online. I mean, what if the pandemic becomes worse? There's another wave of COVID-20 that is even worse than what we have, and then we are locked down for forever. How are your dreams affected?
Okay, I'm going to attempt to answer this question with regards to whether we still have dreams as the youth. I'd like to say that we are the youth of today. I'm not a fan of the youth of tomorrow, because what we've realized is that the people that are already in positions of power are thinking about the youth of tomorrow when they know very well that they will not be there physically tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? So with you going back to your question on whether we have dreams and hopes and what those dreams are, for me, I feel like as the youth, rather, we find ourselves in spaces where we are carrying hopes and dreams that are not originally ours. It's dreams that we fetched, for example, from the youth of 76, from the youth that participated in the hashtag Fees Must Fall movement, and now students that are in that, well, the youth rather, that is existing in a post hashtag Fees Must Fall era. We are somehow still carrying on with conversations. We're still trying to figure out what our individual hopes and what our individual dreams are, and how we're going to be able to manifest those hopes and dreams after we have manifested the hopes and dreams of those that came before us. So we are not yet dreaming and hoping for ourselves, but we're finding ourselves hoping and dreaming for other people. So
awesome. Maybe while you're still on that point, can you share with us your one dream of yours And can everybody as well who gives input on this point, can you give an example of one of your dreams that you would love to see happening?
One of my dreams that I would like to see happening is for persons living with visible and invisible disabilities not to become an afterthought, whether it is through policies, through inclusion in institutions of higher learning, for example, when it comes to how people living with different disabilities are catered for during the pandemic, because the assumption is that because one is living with a disability, they're not independent, they're not able to do something for themselves. So it's always as if the government, or rather people and other organizations, see people living with disabilities as an afterthought, like, oh, basekhona abaya.
Yeah, cool. Thank you so much for your input. Is there anyone else would like to? Yes, go ahead, Rena.
My dream is that a woman doesn't longer like people that always deployment. It makes to see that like things can be very urgent and attended to, like COVID-19. We do have resources in South Africa depending to higher power that what is the priority to them. You understand? So now we must stop making noise and start taking actions that we can be heard and like people can take us serious because we do not do follow up in our things. We're just making noise instead of like making action. Hence, like even like people in higher power just doesn't really take us serious because we just make noise for that particular moment instead of making a follow up in things that we need as youth.
Thank you so much, Thank you so much. Anyone else? Don't forget to share your dream when you're giving us your input as well.
Okay. I'm saying even during bad times, difficult times or hardships, people still go dream. People keep dreaming. You dream. Even if you find yourself sleeping under the bridge, you're still dreaming. And you still have hope that one day you will get out of this situation. But now, the issue here is not really that this COVID-19 has changed our dreams and hopes. We're fighting something that was there before COVID-19. We're fighting a lot of things that were there before COVID-19 came. We're fighting to be heard. We're fighting to be included in our policies, in the decision-making processes, and all those kind of things. We're fighting so many things before COVID-19 came. And because of this COVID-19, those things, for example, we're finding gender equality, I can mention a lot. Those things are still happening during COVID-19. Nothing has changed. People are still fighting that. People are still have hope that those things have to change under the COVID-19. Unfortunately, COVID-19, it affected everyone, regardless of to age, color, or whatsoever. It affected everyone. So people are still fighting under these. For example, people are fighting for Black Lives Matter. Those things happened before COVID-19, but people have to gather together and fight against that. Regardless of COVID-19. So COVID-19 didn't change their dreams and of seeing people being treated equally. So again, my dream, let me share my dream very short. My dream, because I'm in the education sector, I wanted to see an inclusive education where it involves everyone, people with disability from townships. They have the right to learn. They have the right to learn. How many disability centers do we have in townships? They don't take care of them. I must say so many disability centers where they're not appropriate. The policies are not that definite that they can deal with that. So we're still fighting, and we still have hope that one day things will be okay, regardless of this COVID-19. Yeah.
Thank you so much,
Let me go next.
Yes.
Right. So, hi again. So the issue here, I don't think is trends because, as people already said, that we still dream regardless of what is surrounding us. So, but now my concern is it's hope. Imagine now before COVID-19, people were still hopeless of their voices being heard by the government. Now there's COVID-19. That means the hopeless channel has multiplied to 2. So imagine at first our mind is only attracted to what we are exposed to. Now my people from where I come from, rural places, it is difficult for them to firstly dream before they could have hope. Because where we come from, we are only surrounded by the mines. So like everyone is doing now, it's only rare people who come to school. Like I said, it's a calculated few who come to school and learn. So everyone is working at the mines. So where are the dreams? Where are the hopes? Now my dream is, like I've already told you, I told you a long time ago. I remember you even called me to organize some questionnaire about it. I need to be the one funding average students to go and proceed their dreams. Because now the government and each and every bursary that we have, they're only looking for A students. And remember, A students, they are intelligent and they can do well in every subject. But we come to their reasoning capacity. That's why in the government, we don't have people who can reason well, people who cannot allow spaces for young people to do well. Because now, if we cannot allow young people, there's no future for tomorrow. Because everything that is next will have to be dealt by us. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Is anyone else would like to chip in on this one? Just to hear your...
Yeah, I'd like to...
Yeah, Tatiana?
Okay, thank you. I'd like to chip in on that and say I don't think dreams and hopes have changed since the COVID-19 has started. Look, with dreams and hope comes purpose, and with purpose comes the drive for you to actually live. Since this has started for me, it hasn't changed. I still have the dream to actually work for what I studied for in school. Do you understand? Yeah. Nothing has changed. I have dreams to change the community that I stay in. Hence, I still do my outreach. I still have that dream for those girls to be in school. Hence, I still help them out even though my organization is not functional. I'll help them and assist them with their it deals with girls from high school to varsity, from first year to varsity. So you find out that I still help them out with their assignments, with everything that they need. Because why? I still have dreams that those girls who comes from poor backgrounds can actually better their backgrounds tomorrow. So nothing has changed. Nothing has changed at all. So you'll find out in my contribution what I'm saying. I stated my dream and also that it hasn't changed. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tatiana.
Can I come in? I don't know if anyone can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, good. The power of dreams for myself, what I think of, the power of dreams for young people, I think that it has been interrupted. Young people have dreams, but if we look at fees must fall, we had a dream that fees must fall. We had dreams that fees would be fixed, but what was interrupted was the politics, was the power of greed, was the power, the power of wanting to lead. We are being interrupted by these social ills that we face off. My dream that I have is the dream of humanity, the dream of going back to the books, going back to the principles and the morals and the ethics, so that all the situations that we are facing today can be fixed if we all have the right mindset, not the mindset of greed, not the mindset of power or putting politics where it's not needed. For the example, for the Black Lives Matter, politics are involved, violence is there. How would we solve it if violence and politics are there? This is a social issue. Now the power of dream that we all live under the same race, the human race, it won't be there because now we are...
Yeah, I wanted to come on the point Alfred was making earlier on.
Okay, welcome, Master.
Hey guys, I'm not sure my connections are well. I wonder if you guys can see my face. I'll put my camera on for this one. But Alfred, I want to come to the point that you were making because I think that there is a crucial point that you're referring to Black Lives Matter at the moment and what that is doing. And I wanted to invite that idea into this conversation for a moment, right? So you're talking about what's happening with Black Lives Matter, and you're talking about the violence there, etc. And we're talking about dreams, right? And so for many years in the US, people have been faced with the kind of violence that there have been from the police, from the federal police in very particular ways. And at the moment, we are seeing something that's probably never happened before in the United States, where they're trying to confront the real issue around institution oppression of Black people, right? And so, are you not feeling hopeful by that? Are you not feeling that finally something is happening there that probably haven't happened for the last 400 years? And if you think about that, there seems to be like a global shift in people's thinking about um, the hope, the possibility, right, of creating a new reform society. So what we seen yesterday, for example, in Rondebosch High School in Cape Town, where they now want to reform racial policy within the school, where they now want the people who work there with the groundmen or the cleaners for their children to have policies. They want to eradicate all racial and minority discrimination within their school policies, for example. Are you not thinking that all of these opportunities are hopeful? Um, so I know that there are particular violence that had to come with that, and I know that you are making comments in regards to that. But don't you think this opportunity, that this moment in history, in time, is influencing a new possibility of what could be, a new society that we could live in, a new way of redressing some of the stuff that's been sitting in our society, in our laws for a very long time, that haven't been spoken about in the way that we have been speaking about them in the last 2 weeks? Just something I was hoping that we could do.
All right, I think I get your question, Ashley, and I think it's a good question. I think Sue also early on in the conversation wanted to pose a question which is very important, and I asked them that we park it a bit, and then we revisit the question, because I think it was fitting well with the follow-up question that I will be asking the group. So, and I'm sure anybody will jump into that particular question that you are questioning, more of a statement as well. I think moving to the next one, which will in a way be able to answer what you just bring to the table, Ashley, is that so. I mean, a lot of people in the group, I mean, they have been saying that, look, the future is in the hands of adults, and we kind of like feeling as if we are helpless in a way, and some of the sentiments in the conversation are feeling that's okay. We have a false sense of power. So who is supposed to create this future for us as young people? Is it ourselves, or should it be in the hands of other people? Exactly whose responsibility is it? And I think I want to quote one of the former not South African president. There's a president called Roosevelt. He said, "We cannot always promise to build young people a bright future, but we can try and build them to create a bright and prosperous future for themselves." I think that kind of quotes basically twists things around. That we always, as young people, look for our future to be built by people, and we seldom think that, okay, cool, how about we, equip ourselves, or we equip one another to create a future that we are longing for as young people? Because if that has not been created for us, it will never come. Hence, I like Ntsika's comment when she said we shouldn't believe the fallacy that says we are tomorrow's leaders. We are not tomorrow's leaders. We are today's leaders, because we're living today. We're not living tomorrow. So now my question is, so who should be creating this great future for us? And do we have the power or the capacity to do it for ourselves? That's my question.
Thank you, Malusi, for your question. So basically, right, like I said before, that the future, like the youth of today, should be doing something actively to make sure that we are the change that we want to see. If we're like speaking in cliches now, we can say that we are doing it for ourselves, and we want to have this future for us, and we are the ones that are in charge of our futures. But the reality of the matter is, we are existing in a representative democracy, which means that it's the constituencies that are in power that that are the ones that actually have the say on the policies that are put out, having a say in what is done and how things are done. Because when you go back to the whole hashtag Fees Must Fall era, Fees Must Fall was a faceless movement, according to the sources that I've read and people that I've had conversations with, is that Fees Must Fall was a faceless movement. It gained a face. The face that it gained was given to it by the government, the people in government. And what happened then is that now the likes of Nombenglo Mkhatshwa, Naledi Chirwa, all of a sudden were seen as the faces of Fees Must Fall. So what that did is that now it created this whole divide, and divide and conquer rule, saying that no, Fees Must Fall now has leaders and it has people that are greedy and so forth. And then just to change things around, all of a sudden it's the same government now telling the youth that no, we are going to put these people to be members of parliament, trying to like create a facade of some sort, just to let us know that no, in fact, Jongani, we're going to put young people, so these young people are going to cater to young issues, which is not true. Because with the representative democracy, before you can stand for what you believe in, you have to focus on the organization's beliefs first. So what happens then is that now you find yourself bargaining with the constituency that you're a part of. So your issues as a young person, whether it be fighting for education or inclusive bodies, your issues are pushed to the back because they're not an issue of importance to the organization. So these dreams and these hopes and these manifestations that we want to happen for us is actually, yes, it is up to us, but I think in order for that to happen, we would have to just dismantle the system that was designed not to cater for us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nzika. Anyone else would like to chip in?
This is powerful. I think I would like to chip in there. No problem, Lucidi. When you spoke about who's responsible on asking us to be part of the change, I believe personally in multidisciplinary approaches. Just to bring some context, I think we may have amongst ourselves some struggle veterans, and that's a big thing apparently to be a political hype man, is that the likes of your Fees Must Fall movements and your current GBV, we've had multiple prong approaches where there were debates and negotiations and sit-down discussions, but those were stunted, and as a result, we then got to a point of mobilizing in streets. I mean, if we even go back to the Black Lives Matter, to what extent I've read about it, you had your peaceful elements of really trying to reform policies, your racial profiling. There's been that attempt on one side, but then there's the frustrated stunt on the ground, and that brings me to why we as youth maybe distrust the system. There is a policy system, and then there's a diplomatic system that runs on a field, on a level that we aren't involved in, and we aren't getting any communication about what the progress is or lack thereof, and then we get frustrated around the ground. So I concur with what the previous speaker said regarding we're going to have to break down the current system, because democracy in South Africa for the past how many years, even during apartheid and right now, has been abused and manipulated for the very question we asked earlier about the power dynamic, who runs and who plays and who is busy pulling lobby. I am going to suggest that there needs to be a degree of anarchy in this, because the system itself is not really accommodating or rather allowing students to do this. But you see how the Fees Must Fall element achieved some form of Fees Must Fall. The fees still haven't fallen because it's still being paid for somehow. Is that there are still policy makers, there are still youths that are more inclined to write and document structured, detailed, inclusive policies. But there are your ground forces that are willing to agitate the spaces. We go back to the protest in history that we're celebrating on the Youth Day. They may not have had those that have thought of the actual outcome. The main goal that time was the educational system, and that's what was dismantled, but we never had those who sat down and said, okay, but this is how we actually want it, this is the context. So as is with, I think Lisedi mentioned it in the comments earlier, that we've got a lot of innovation and creativity amongst ourselves as youth, and we need to be able to combine these forces, because there are people that really just want to take up and beat and be extremely violent, and there are those youth members that want to build a fully representative system. I'm very cautious of calling it democratic, because it is easily influenced by the greed, the power, and your dream may be misconstrued, and then you are caught up in the system. But there is a two-pronged approach, and that is ours, to mobilize as youth strategically and really think about how to dismantle the system as it is. Fortunately, these people's pockets run deep into be it power, monopoly, all kinds of rhetoric that we've heard in today's day and age. And I'm sorry for the extended response, but that is, I think, what has caused youth to be in disbelief, or to just be, I'm tired of the system, because there are so many blocked walls into the current power dynamic of South Africa that you do find that your light is slightly dimmed, but there is still optimism, and we do still dream. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We've got about 10 minutes for us to wrap up our conversation. And I just want to throw something very quickly after John Doe. There's a chap called William Wilberforce. Google him out. He's a young man who was an activist. You could call him an activator. But William Wilberforce was against the slave trade back in Europe. But it took him 40 years to be part of a process that eventually abolished the slave trade in England. So 40 years, and yet we become so agitated. I mean, we're 26 years into democracy, and we haven't seen much change. But you know, we shouldn't give up. We shouldn't just give up and just say no. The system is against us. We cannot beat the system. But you know, let's keep moving forward. You know, let's keep moving forward. But yeah, I just wanted to bring an example of that young guy. It just came to mind. I mean, William Wilberforce. Anyone else would like to?
Okay. Let me quickly jump in. Lesedi, can I please go before you?
Yes, okay.
I think to touch on the importance of anarchy. You know, we are a country that has ended its supposed democracy by violence. You know, so in the context of South Africa, I think we cannot divorce the whole idea of violence and anarchy from the major achievements of the country and of the nation. So I think that in as much as it is unfortunate and it's a culture that at some point has to stop, but for as long as it is the only language that our government understands, then it should be the only language that our people uses to communicate, you know. And yeah, schools must be banned, you know, if it's what will get the government to urgently act. And I know it's a circular movement type of approach, because you cannot demand that something be fixed by destroying the other. That is still okay. But in many times than not, the government has only taken a position to respond to what is being demanded by its people only when violence, and I mean violence of burning things down, of sometimes even destroying and ending the lives of many people who are involved in that cause. Then and only then did our government respond. So I just wanted to pass that remark on anarchy and its importance in the context of South Africa.
Okay. I mean, before Lesedi comes in, I just want to, I'm sure you guys might have this coming up in your modules. It's called the 198 Form of Nonviolence by Gene Sharp. It's one of the modules that we used to do in Activate. A session that gives alternatives towards what is currently happening. I mean, what is the alternative to violence? Gene Sharp came up with a book and a concept of what you call the 198 Form of Nonviolence. I'm sure Ashley will cover it with the trainers in some of the content they're going to be delivering. But let's hear you, because of course we are as a movement, we do not promote violence, but I definitely hear your points that our history of democracy was won over through violence, and that's the only form of retaliation is violence. I mean, we burn stuff in order to get attention. Let me hear your views.
Thank you very much, Lucy. I agree with the previous speakers. For the first time, I agree with everyone. Their views are very, very important. But I will take the last one about dismantling the system, because that one I agree with it entirely. Given the fact that I see all people living their dreams through us. This is what is happening at the moment. What I see in Parliament, I see people who did not have a chance to enjoy things during that time or to raise particular things during that time, and they want to raise those things through us. And that's wrong. Just to correct Mazibuko, we don't want all people to think for us. I hate to say that. We don't want all people to think for us. We can think for ourselves. We can do that. We just want them to guide us. Please, don't get me wrong. I have respect for all people. I respect them. I grew up as a head boy myself, and I was leading, and my grandpa was giving guidance. And in the process, he knew it that I cannot take everything that he said. But either way, he was providing me with guidance. But I was leading. Sometimes you find that old people, they've got a problem when a young boy or a young person is leading. They have a problem. But those who don't have a problem, they know that they have to provide guidance. That's it. Then I think that's how things should be. But first, we have to eliminate that problem. We have to dismantle that system completely, because that's the one that prevents us for our voice to be heard at the current moment. Yeah.
Thank you. Colleagues, I would love to just wrap it up. And I want to wrap it up by just one final question, which basically sums up everything. The economy, politics, social issues, all of these issues are, if there is to be fixed at some point in our lifetime, guess who are the people who are to fix that particular system? It is the current people in this conversation, right? Because remember, if we all agree that everybody in Parliament has got a lifespan, give or take, the next 20 to 30 years. I'm saying God willing is there, with there as well, because anything is possible. But be that it may, so the burden sits with young people right now. The burden sits with us as this current generation. The burden to, at one point, revive the economy, change the system, change the education system, change every system that we have in our current space in South Africa or in the world as a whole. If we need to change, if racism has to change, it is this current generation that can actually make that particular change. It's a big mammoth task. It's a big burden. Do you guys think that this current generation of young people or young leaders are up for this challenge? And if you say yes, why do you say that? If you say no, why do you say that? Just a few minutes, a few seconds, because we need to wrap up the conversation.
Okay, thank you for your question, Malusi. To answer your question, I'm going to say yes. This generation is up for the challenge, because we have come to the understanding that this movement that we are entering, or this conversation that we're having, is intersectional. So we're coming from different backgrounds with different ideas and different viewpoints, and we're of the understanding that there's a movement bigger than us, and we just need to come together with our different ideas and understand that there is no one right way of getting things done. But if it means that we must retaliate, like Lesego said, we shall retaliate. If it means we must just not listen to the adults, like he said, we are not going to listen to the adults. So it's intersectional, and we are ready. We have removed the wound of the TRC and the reincarnation. We have reached the end of that politics.
Okay, cool. Next one, Kapu.
I think from the perspective of young people, from the perspective of the young people in this conversation, we are ready. But I think from a perspective of young people holistically, we are not ready. I think the fire does not exist in many young people to actually get things changed. There are many people, social media people who can post, retweet, share things and everything like that, but there's a very insignificant number of young people who would actually go to the ground and actively get involved in the change. So I think from generally as young people, we are not a generation that is ready. Only a few are, but not the entire generation, or at least not a significant number of the generation.
Awesome. Thank you. Anyone else would like to chip in?
Thank you. I would love to chip in, and I would love to say that I do think that we are a generation that is ready. Look, there is few of us in this conversation, 10 to be precise, and those 10 people are doing something in their communities. And in those communities are making change. So if those people are making an impact in those, it means they are engaging with other people that can make an impact in their communities. Now that is change. It means now we are ready to change whatever challenge we are facing, either be political, either be financial, either be educational, because we are already dealing with different aspects. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tatiana. Anyone else going once, going twice? Yelena?
I think we are not ready because we are the lifestyle of wanting to improve ourselves, like as an individual. You understand? So hence I think we are easily influenced. So I think we are not ready.
All right. It's a very sombering conclusion we're having. I mean, some people are saying yes, we are ready. Some people saying no, we are not ready. But I just want to say this one thing in conclusion. It is only 10 of us in this conversation. I mean, at least 10 activators, excluding Kim and the other guests that we have. But you guys are part of 4,500 plus young people in the country who have the same thought process as you, same thinking, same passion, same zeal, same aspirations, same goals of wanting to see not only South Africa, but Africa and the globe a better place. So there is a network out there that you guys are part of, which is the Activate network. And I'm sure at the end of the journey, you will get to understand as you get to interact with other activators to see that the future is not as bleak or as hopeless as we might perceive it to be. But there's hope because there is a wave of young people who are, passionate about seeing change. I want to make an example quickly. There's been over 30 young people who are running youth hubs. So we've got something called youth hubs in Activate. So these are basically like little mini centers in communities. One in particular has given out over 400 food parcels during the space of COVID-19. Others have been creating masks, giving them to young people. Others have been doing online sessions. Others have been helping young people register for the unemployment grant. It has been one project to another. It is amazing stuff that young people are doing. So I'm just wanting to say that, the future is not all that gloom and doom. I mean, you guys are part of that piece of the puzzle that we're trying to put together. And with those words, I just would like to say thank you to everybody who has participated in this conversation. When I was still a trainer, I used to have 3 words that I used to share with young people. The first one is thank you, sorry, and please. Thank you for loving your country enough to take time and be part of this conversation. And thank you for being a selfless young person, putting yourself in the front line and your dreams that are aligned to a better South Africa. Sorry for, in this conversation, sometimes some of us might think, okay, cool, maybe my point was not heard more than another person's point. And also, sorry for the way things are happening, the system that we're in, the backgrounds we were born into. I mean, there's so many things I could say sorry for. That is not necessarily your fault or my fault, but those are things that actually help us to appreciate the tough times we're going through as a country right now. So that in the future, we will see that actually it was worth it. And the last word, which is please do not stop doing the work that you're doing in your community. Please do not stop, being the change that you want to see. Please don't stop, being an agent of change. They say bad things happen when good people are silent. And thank you for not diminishing your voice and making your voice heard in the space. And I want to say also thank you to Kim for organizing this platform. Thank you for the 2 guests, Lewis and Sue for being part of this thing. And I'm sure they're going to take this conversation and basically convert it to something that others who might not necessarily be in this conversation can also hear it. So I just want to say thank you to everybody. I hope we will meet at some point. My role is basically exist so that I can make your life better as an activator. So you will basically be interacting with my team of about 9 people who are doing different kind of work. Some of them are in the Big Five sector, which is the focus sectors that we have in the organization currently, which is health, youth economic participation, gender-based violence, and literacy and active citizenry. So you might be interacting with them as you move along, and also being part of youth hubs as well. But I just want to say it's an honor having to have this conversation with you guys, and I wish you all the best in your journey in Activate. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for showing up. I'll catch you on the WhatsApp group.
Thank you.
Bye.
Sharp, sharp.
Bye.
Bye.
Cheers.